All right, as you can see today, we're going to be looking at solving logarithmic equations, and in order to do that, we're going to combine some of the properties that we saw yesterday, and of course some of the other stuff that we saw earlier this week, and put it all together to solve these equations. Now, there's three things that we're going to have to do in order to solve an equation in this form right here, and it's at the top of your page. It says the first thing you have to do is combine the terms correctly, so that we have a single expression. That's the first thing we're going to do, which we're going to use those properties that we talked about yesterday. Then what we're going to do is once we rewrite it as a single expression, then we're going to write it as an exponential expression, which we've done also. Matter of fact, we have a little quiz over that. And then once we have that exponential equation, then finally we're going to go ahead and solve for the variable. So those are the three steps that we're going to be using today. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. The first one we have here is log base 3 of 9 plus log base 3 of x plus 2 is equal to 4. We want to know what x is. All right, so here we go. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to rewrite that in the form of a single expression. Now again, we did this yesterday. We talked about some properties, and we're going to use those properties. So what did we say yesterday about addition? That addition was going to be the same thing as multiplication. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 9 and the x plus 2 and do what with those two things? Multiply, just like we did yesterday. So here we go. Let's rewrite it. We're going to do log. We're going to keep the same base, which is 3. All we're going to do is multiply the 9 times the x plus 2. And what do you get when you multiply 9 times x plus 2? 9x plus 18. And what is that going to equal to? 4. So we just did the first step. We rewrote it as a single expression. Now what we're going to do is what we did a couple of days ago. And that's to take that thing right there and rewrite it as an exponential expression. So first thing I need is the base. What's going to be my base here? 3. We did this the other day. That 3 needs an exponent. What's the exponent going to be? 4. And what is it going to equal to? 9x plus 18. All right, so there's our second step. All we did was rewrite it in the form of an exponential. Now we're going to take that thing and we're going to solve it. But before I solve it, let me go ahead and find out what 3 to the 4th power is. Put that in your calculator for me. What is 3 to the 4th power? 3 to the 4th power is 81. So now we got 81 is equal to 9x plus 18. So notice what we have here. It's just a standard equation. We're going to solve this just like we would any other equation. So what do I do first? Subtract 18. So what is 81 minus 18? 81 minus 18 is 63. So now I've got 63 is equal to 9x. Now what? Divide by 9. And what is 63 divided by 9? 7. Therefore, our solution here is 7. There. So all we're doing is combining a little bit of what we did yesterday, a little bit of what we did the day before, and putting it all into this one equation. All right. Let's try another one. Number 2, a little bit different. Here we've got subtraction. And what did we say about subtraction yesterday? That it was going to be the same thing as division. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start by rewriting this as a single expression. So here we go. Log base 5. What are we going to do with the x and the 2? Divide them. Remember, we said subtraction was going to be the same thing as division. So we're going to do x divided by 2. And that's going to equal to our 3. So all I'm doing is rewriting it as a single expression. Now we're going to take that and we're going to rewrite it in the form of an exponential expression. So the first thing I need is the base. And what's going to be our base? 5. The exponent we're going to use on that 5 is 3. And what is it going to equal to? X over 2. So there it is, written as an exponential expression. Now we're ready to start solving. That's our third step. But before I solve it, let me go ahead and find out what 5 to the third power is. So if you need your calculator, go ahead and use it. What is 5 times 5 times 5? 125. So now I've got 125 is equal to x divided by 2. Remember, we're solving for x. So if I want to solve for x, I've got to do the opposite of dividing by 2. So what's the opposite of dividing by 2? Multiplying by 2. So what is 125 times 2? 250. Therefore, our solution here is 250. That's the answer to number 2. What do you think so far? Not too bad, right? I bet you when you first started, you thought, oh man, it's going to be really hard. But you can see it's not that bad. All right, next one a little bit trickier. The first thing we're going to have to do is rewrite it. Now notice there is no addition, there is no subtraction, but we are multiplying by a 4. So what do we say about that 4? What do we do when we multiply? It's exponent. So what we're going to do is we're going to rewrite this as the log base 9. What we're going to do is we're going to take this 4 that we're multiplying by and use it as our exponent. So now it becomes 3 to the 4th power. So all I'm doing is moving this 4, using it as an exponent on my 3. So now I've got this thing here. Now that I have that, the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and rewrite it in the form of an exponential. So what's the base of this exponential? 9. What's the exponent going to be? X. And what is it going to equal to? 3 to the 4th power. So we've taken the log and rewritten it as an exponential. Now let's start solving this thing here. First I want to know what is 3 to the 4th power. Anybody know what 3 to the 4th power is? 81. 3 to the 4th power is 81. Alright, so let's solve this. We're looking for x. So I want to know what number goes in for x. 9 to what power would give me an 81? 2. 9 squared is what gives me 81. Therefore, the solution to this is 2. And that's our answer. Alright, let's go to the next one, number 4. Number 4, we've got that addition again, so this is like number 1. What do we do on number 1? What are we going to do with the 12 and the 18? Multiply. So let's go ahead and do that and rewrite it. So we're going to do log, our base is x. So the question is, what do you get when you multiply 12 times the 18? 216, and that's going to equal to a 3. Now that we've got it written as in a single expression, now let's write it in the form of an exponential. Alright, so the exponential is going to be what? X to the 3rd equals 216. Alright, so we got to know what is x. We're going to solve. Now remember guys, we want to know what number can I take to the 3rd power and it would equal 216. Well, we know the opposite of squaring something is what? Square root. So what's the opposite of cubing something? Cube root. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this 216 and we're going to find the cube root. Matter of fact, we're doing that on both sides so that we get x by itself. So your calculator does do that. Anybody remember where to find cube root? In the math. All right, so go to math and let's find the cube root of 216. What is it? 6. Therefore, our solution to number 3 here is 6. 6 to the 3rd power is what's going to give us 216. All right, next one. Number 5. We've got 6 times log base x of 2 is equal to 2. So this one's kind of like that number 3 that we saw earlier. So let's first rewrite it. That 6 that we're multiplying is going to go where now? It now becomes the exponent on this 2 right here. It's going to go right there. So let's rewrite it as log base x of 2 to the 6th power equals 2. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take that and we're going to rewrite it in the form of an exponential. So that now becomes x squared equals to 2 to the 6th power. Now I've got it in the form of an exponential. Now we're going to solve that thing. First I want to know what is 2 to the 6th power. 64? 64. Alright, so now I'm solving for x. Well, kind of like what we did earlier. Here we got squared. What's the opposite of squared to something? Square root. So what we're going to do is take the square root of 64. And what is the square root of 64? 8. Therefore, our solution here is 8. Alrighty. We got one more to look at. It's the big one. Log base 4 of x squared minus 12x minus log base 4 of x is equal to 1. So let's start by rewriting this as a single expression. Now notice they're subtracting. And what did we say earlier about subtraction? It was going to be the same thing as division. So what am I going to divide? Okay, we're going to take the x squared minus 12x and we're going to divide it by a x. Okay, so let me go ahead and rewrite that. And I'm going to go ahead and show my work. So we're going to do x squared minus 12x. And here in a second, we're going to divide it by x. Don't forget, it's still equal to 1. Alright, so let me go ahead and divide those out. So if I divide x squared minus 12x by the x, first of all, the x squared divided by x is simply a x. A negative 12x divided by x, well, all that's going to happen is that these x's right here are going to cancel each other out, leaving us with a 12. So in other words, x squared minus 12x divided by x now becomes x minus 12. We just divide. Of course, it's still equal to 1. Now we can go ahead and take that thing and rewrite it in the form of an exponential. So here we go. What am I going to write? What's my exponential going to be? What's the base? 4. What's the exponent? 1. And what is it going to equal? X minus 12. Now that I have it in the form of an exponential, we're going to solve that thing. Well, what is 4 to the first power? 4. So now I've got 4 is equal to x minus 12. And if I want to solve that for x, what am I going to need to do? Add 12. And what do you get when you add 4 plus 12? 16. And therefore, our solution is 16. And there it is. All right. Any questions about these 6 that we just looked at? We're okay? All right. I'm going to give you some to try on your own now.